The story of great strength and strife, a story of a confused husband and a wise wife, a story of Kanva's compassion, and the story wherein we find actually Dharma's conversation, the story of Shakuntala. Dushyanta was a valorous king of the Paurava dynasty. One day, he set off for hunting along with his huge troops. He hunted several wild animals. Later, as the king Dushyanta was strolling around, he spotted a beautiful hermitage, that is ashrama, on the banks of river Malini. The hermitage belonged to Maharshi Kanva. The king left his troops outside and entered inside the hermitage. Peace, scenic beauty, and musical rendering of Vedic mantras that were being chanted there mesmerized the king Dushyanta. The king realized that Kanvarushi was not around, and so he gave a call. Is anybody there? On hearing this call, a young ascetic woman came ahead. She welcomed the king and asked about his well being. Dushyanta was spellbound when he looked at that girl. He was stunned to see such a beautiful ascetic woman in that hermitage. Dushyanta asked her, "Who are you? Whose daughter are you? And what are you doing here in this forest?" The young girl replied that she was Kanvarushi's daughter. The hermitage had already left the king awestruck, and the reply of the beautiful girl surprised him even more because everybody knew that Kanvarushi observed celibacy. Dushyanta could not hold back his curiosity and he asked that Kanvarushi was celibate and dedicated to penance. He had not even married. Then how could that girl be his? Thereupon, the girl narrated an amazing story of her birth that she had heard from other ascetics in the hermitage. The girl was actually the daughter of Rishi Vishwamitra and the Apsaras named Menaka. Menaka disturbed the penance of Rishi Vishwamitra as per the orders of Lord Indra. She stayed with Rishi Vishwamitra for some time and then on the banks of Malini on the Himalayan plateau, she gave birth to a beautiful daughter. Vishwamitra's penance was disturbed. Menaka's job was also complete. So she left the baby in that dense forest and returned to Indraloka. And Vishwamitra too set off for his penance. The forest was full of dangerous wild animals, and the baby lay on the ground with nobody to accompany. But as it is rightly said, there is no fear for the one who is God's ward. In Marathi, there is a saying, देव तारी तला कौन मारी, और कहते हैं ना, वो क्षमा क्या बुझे जिसे रोशन खुदा करे. Similar happened to the baby girl there. Several Shakuntas means birds gathered there and they covered her and protected that little baby. Sometime later, Kanvarushi spotted her. He thought, only those who give birth are not parents. As per Dharma Shastra, those who give birth, those who protect, and those who nurture all get the status of parents. And here, Mahabharata defines the parenthood in a beautiful verse. Sharirakrut pranadata yasya channani bhunjate kramena te trayopyuktaha pitaro dharmanishchaye. Shakuntas, birds protected the baby and hence Kanva named the baby Shakuntala. Kanva nurtured and educated her and so he too became her parent. Kanva treated her like his daughter and Shakuntala too treated him like her beloved father. While looking at Shakuntala and listening to her story, King Dushyanta was totally captivated by her beauty. Being a king, he took precaution of getting to know her roots and origin and then proposed her for marriage. Shakuntala replied exactly as any noble, virtuous, and religious person grown up in an ashram would. She said to the king that he should wait till her father returned and she would marry him with Kanvarushi's consent. On listening to this, King Dushyanta said to Shakuntala, "You are a daughter of Vishwamitra, which means you are a Kshatriya girl, a princess, because Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya king who later became an ascetic. Of the 10 types of marriage that are prescribed, Gandharva type of marriage, that is Gandharva Vivaha, is not forbidden for Kshatriyas. In this type, bride and groom marry with mutual consent and there is no need of anyone else's permission. Shakuntala perhaps could not refuse a valorous king like Dushyanta, who was from a noble family too. She accepted his proposal for marriage on one condition. The condition was that her son would be the heir of Dushyanta and he would inherit the kingdom after Dushyanta. The king happily accepted the condition and married Shakuntala in the Gandharva style of marriage. He assured her that he would come back to fetch her soon and left the hermitage. Kanvarushi came to the hermitage after some time. He understood what had happened due to his mystic knowledge powers. Shakuntala felt awkward to face Kanvarushi, but he too was a Maharshi. Kanvarushi knew that two facets of circumstances and destiny very well, and so he did not scold Shakuntala at all. Rushi Kanva said to her that though Shakuntala had performed the Gandharva Vivaha in complete privacy and without any holy mantras, it is considered noble for Kshatriyas. He blessed her, saying that her son would be the supremost in the entire world and rule the world. Rushi Kanva then told Shakuntala to ask for one more boon. Shakuntala asked for a boon typical of a wise and mature woman like her. She asked for a boon that all kings in her husband's dynasty should always remain lawful and, and religious and they should never lose their kingdom. Shakuntala asked for this boon not just for Dushyanta but for the benefit of the entire Paurava clan. After Dushyanta had left for his kingdom with a promise to return, eventually Shakuntala gave birth to a radiant son. This brilliant son of Dushyanta was very powerful. Kanva lovingly nurtured him with all the samskaras. This son of Shakuntala was so strong that at the age of 6, he would tie up animals like tigers and lions. He looked older than his age and his favorite pastime was to play with the wild animals. Since he defeated and subdued everyone, he was named Sarvadamana, one who defeats all, by the rishis in the ashram. When Sarvadamana was 6, seeing his prowess, Kanva told Shakuntala that it was time to bestow princehood on Sarvadamana. He asked some of his students to take Shakuntala and her son to Dushyanta. It is said society doesn't like of married women stay with their parents for a long time. If this happens, people start questioning the purity and character of that woman. So, without further delay, Rushi Kanva asked his disciples to take Shakuntala to her husband. The disciples followed the orders and along with Shakuntala and Sarvadamana, they reached the palace of Dushyanta. Giving the king the message of Kanvarushi, they returned back immediately. All of them left Shakuntala with the king in his assembly hall and those disciples returned. Shakuntala bowed before Dushyanta and said, Maharaj, this is your son. According to your promise given in Kanvarushi's ashram, you should bestow princehood on him and fulfill your promise. Dushyanta very well knew what Shakuntala was talking about. He remembered everything that had occurred in the ashrama. Even then, Dushyanta said to Shakuntala, What are you talking, wicked ascetic woman? I don't remember anything. Who are you? I don't know you. I don't remember of having married you ever. You can stay here or go away. You are free to do whatever you like. Shakuntala was thunderstruck to hear these words of Dushyanta in front of the entire court. She started feeling ashamed of herself. Shakuntala felt as if she would collapse. She got numb for a moment, but within a second, anger overtook the feeling of shame. Her eyes burned with rage and lips shivered. Her radiant eyes became fierce. She looked at the king as if to burn him. Shakuntala regulated her anger with the power of her penance and said to the king, Maharaj, you are aware of everything, and in spite of being a king, how did you dare to shun facts like an ordinary human being? One's mind always is true witness of truth or falsehood. Ask your mind what the truth is and tell only the Satya truth. By denying truth, you are not only deceiving yourself but me too. You feel you are free to do anything, but that is not appropriate because you are not aware of the God that resides in your heart. Nothing can be hidden from that God. You are performing a sin in the presence of the omnipresent divinity. If someone sins by mistake, Yama himself erases that sin. But if the sin is done on purpose, Yama, god of the death, tortures the person limitlessly. By speaking lies and breaking your promise, you are destroying yourself. How can even gods help you then? Shakuntala further said, Maharaj, I am your wife. I have come to you on my own. Rather than accepting me with respect, how are you insulting me in front of such illustrious courtiers? Can you even hear what I am speaking? If you don't listen to me, even when I am imploring to you, your head will burst into pieces. She added, a wife is the real support of a man. Dharma, Artha, and Kama, all three Purusharthas can be fulfilled only because of a wife. A man cannot get a child without a wife. Even then, how do you push me, your wife, away? There is no joy that equals a son's embrace. Dushyanta, your son has come to you himself and is seeking your affection, but you are pushing him away too. Why? Even small insects take care of their eggs and little ones beyond their limits, and you are a king. You know dharma, and yet you deny your son like this? I don't know. I don't know what sin I had done in my past birth that my mother Menaka deserted me at birth. She deserted me then, and you are deserting me now. All right, if you desert me, I will return to the hermitage. But at least accept your son. He is your son, your own son. Composing herself after the shock Dushyanta had inflicted upon her, whatever Shakuntala spoke, she told fearlessly what the dharma of a king and a husband was, and what is action should be. Perhaps that is why nobody in the assembly said anything when they saw an ascetic woman say such things to their king. Even then, the valorous king of Paurava dynasty had no courage to accept the truth of Shakuntala in front of everyone. So Dushyanta replied, I don't remember that I begot a son of you. Also, you say that this boy is young. Then why doesn't he look so? He looks older than his age. I think somebody has dressed up like an ascetic woman. How can you be Vishwamitra and Menaka's daughter? In spite of knowing the truth completely, Dushyanta was speaking white lies in the courtroom. He also said to her, women naturally are experts at speaking lies. So who will believe in you? And what are you saying? You are talking like a downtrodden woman of low birth. Hence, I don't know even a single word of what you are saying, and I don't recognize you at all. So you just go away wherever you want to. Till that moment, Shakuntala, with great efforts, had maintained her composure. But Dushyanta's words were too infuriating and hurtful. And so, in the courtroom, Shakuntala said to the king in clear words, O king, you are saying that I am of low birth? Mind well, I am greater than you by birth. Mine is a divine birth. You can move around only on earth, but I can move in Antariksha too. The difference between you and me is akin to the difference between Mount Meru and a mustard seed. Shakuntala, who till then was ready to accept her denial but was requesting politely that her son be accepted, finally told the king decisively, O king, there is no dharma better than truth, Satya, and nothing is more superior than Satya. But you have deserted truth, and I am going away because I don't want any connection with a truthless person like you. O Dushyanta, bear this in mind that even without you, this son of mine will rule the entire world. Saying this, Shakuntala set off from there along with her son. Just as she was about to leave the courtroom, there was a divine declaration. The divine voice, Divyavani, said, O King Dushyanta, Shakuntala is your wife, and this boy is yours. You should nurture him because it is your duty. Because of your nurturing, that is Bharana, this boy will be later known as Bharata. Dushyanta was thrilled to hear the divine declaration, and he said to his priest and ministers that everyone has heard these divine words now, and you must have been convinced that this is my son. If I had told you this was my son, just on the basis of what Shakuntala said, you and other people would have had doubts about the origin of this boy. Saying so, Dushyanta lovingly hugged his son. He accepted Shakuntala too with great respect. Consoling her, the king said to Shakuntala that he had to behave in that way so that people would not question her and her intentions. Thus, clarifying his behavior, he consoled Shakuntala. Later, Dushyanta named his son Bharata and bestowed princehood on him. Eventually, Bharata became a valorous supremost king. Kanvarushi made Bharata perform several yajnas. His clan became reputed everywhere because of Bharata, and his clan began to be called Bharata. So, this was Shakuntala's story in the Mahabharata. Generally, when we hear the word Shakuntala, what we first remember is Kalidasa's Shakuntala. Kalidasa used his poetic skills to build a drama on the actual story in the Mahabharata. The curse due to which Dushyanta forgot Shakuntala, the king not recognizing her when she was pregnant, Shakuntala going away insulted, later Dushyanta remembering everything on seeing the ring, later his coincidental meeting with his son and Shakuntala are all imaginary incidents that Kalidasa wove around the original story in the Mahabharata. One falls in love with the delicate heroine built up by Kalidasa and also with the Mahabharata style direct, knowledgeable, judicious Shakuntala in the actual text.